Hey, welcome back to Herbie's Garage. Today we're working on the Venom Ghost Chopper 250 and we're going to be doing a valve check and adjustment. So I want to make sure everything's right and we're going to get into it right now. First thing we want to do is we want to take off the exhaust cap and the intake cap, both. This is going to be our access point to get to our valves to adjust them. And the exhaust valve adjustment is going to be on the exhaust side. The intake valve adjustment is going to be on the intake, on the carburetor side, of course. On these modern bikes, it seems like access to stuff is just kind of limited. That's okay. We can work around it. Okay, now that those are taken off, we got to take these plugs out. Removing this plug is going to give us access to the bolt so we can turn the crank over. And this plug is going to give us access to where we could see the timing mark. The next step is going to be to remove the spark plug so we can turn this over easily. Okay, now I'm going to be turning this. This is a 14 millimeter. I'm going to be turning this counterclockwise. And we have to watch the intake valve and watch for it to go down and then back up. I'm turning it, now it dropped down. Okay, we're going to watch for it to come back up. There it is, it's back up. Okay, so now we have to look for the mark. I know you guys probably are not going to be able to see this, but I'm going to try to let you see. There is a timing mark right there. I can't tell if it has a T or anything on it, but there's a mark right there. You can see it lined up with this notch right here. I'm going to go around to make sure there's not another mark. Oh, there's one right there. What's that say? That says F. Okay. And then here comes the T. Right there. Okay, that mark right there says T, and it's lined up with this notch. So there's a couple of marks, and then there's an F with a mark, and then there's a T with the mark. You want to line the T up with this notch. Okay, we're going to start with the exhaust valve first. And it feels like it has zero play. Nothing. Tight as a drum. So I use these feeler gauges. As you can see, I've got these marked. I use these pretty much exclusively on my Chinese bikes. I use them on my Japanese bikes on some too, but some of them have different measurements. But this one I couldn't find the measurement in the book, so I'm using the same measurement I use on all of them. So this one is a 0.12 for the exhaust, and the intake is going to be a 0.08. And I use the go, no-go method. So I try to stick it in here and see if it'll go. And once I get it to where it's set, I'll go the next size bigger and I'll see if it goes. And if it doesn't, then I got the adjustment set perfectly. So the first thing we need to do is loosen the lock nut because we have to make an adjustment. Let me do this with a socket. We want to loosen this lock nut, so I'll just put a 10 millimeter socket on it. Well, it's pretty tight. Loosen that up, and we'll loosen our adjuster up a little bit. and then we'll set this in there and see if we can get it to go. Wow, that was really tight. I'm gonna loosen it way up. It's got a lot of play now. I gotta get it in there. Best thing to do when it's tight like that is just bend it. Bend your feeler gauge to where it'll fit in there good. Like that. My hands got oil on them now. Now they're slick. Okay. And I've got one of these valve adjusting tools that's got different size ends on it where I can move. If you don't have that, you can use a pair of needle nose pliers and just gently bring it down onto your, adjust onto your feeler gauge. I had it turned quite a bit trying to get it loose. Okay. It's a little bit loose. I'm going to give it just a whisker. Like that. Okay, that's got a good drag to it. Now if you leave your feeler gauge in there and just tighten your jam nut, most of the time your adjustment won't move. You won't have to hold both. But you have to double check it if you do it this method just to make sure it didn't move. Okay. Yeah, see, it moved. I'll loosen it up just a wee bit. Okay. Now that's good. Okay, that's the right adjustment. Since that first method didn't work, I'll show you the next method. With your needle nose, you want to hold this so it doesn't move, and then put your wrench in there and tighten your jam nut. Again, this is a 10 millimeter. And just hold a little pressure onto this stud, onto this adjuster so it doesn't move. Okay, that feels perfecto. Okay. Now let's get the next size bigger. All right, let's get the next size bigger. This is a 0.15 millimeter and see if it'll go. And it does not go. All right, so we got that one perfect. And that's got a little play in it now, like it's supposed to have. Okay, let's see if this one's got any adjustment. Wow. That one has nothing either. Okay. So, this is why it's important to check your valve clearances. This will make such a difference on the way the engine runs. Okay, so now we're going to take a now we're going to take the intake feeler gauge, which is 0.08. If you guys are old school like me, then you'll know that this is a 3 thousandths and the exhaust is a 5 thousandths. Whichever you prefer, whether you want to use metric or standard measurements, up to you. It's the same thing. Okay, so I got that a little loose. I just want a little bit of a drag. I got a little drag there. All right, I'll try the first method on here and tighten it up with it in there. This usually works, but for some reason it's not wanting to cooperate on me on this, but that's okay. Let's see. Yeah, it's a little snug. No, I think that's good. Let me make sure it's tight. Oh yeah, it's got a nice drag to it. That's good. Okay. So then we'll take the no-go, which is 0.10 millimeter, and we'll see if it'll go in. Which it does not. So we've got both the intake and the exhaust set perfect. All right. So we'll go ahead and put our caps back on. Sorry if that camera's moving. I think it's touching the bike. Let me back it away a little bit. And if you're wondering on the size on this, it's a 24 millimeter. I'm not sure, but I think 24 millimeters equal to a 15/16. You don't have to get these super snug. They have an O-ring on them, but you don't want them leaking, so just snug them up. There we go. Then I'm going to go ahead and take the spark plug and put it in while I'm here. Okay, then we'll put our plugs back in. It's still got some oil on the O-ring, so we shouldn't have to worry about that. You want to be sure and oil your O-rings to make sure they don't leak if they're dry. And if you don't have a big screwdriver like this, you could use a nickel or a quarter and a pair of pliers. I demonstrated that in I think my KPR video. And it works just fine. If they're real tight, you won't be able to get it with that. You'll bend your change. All right, we're done with the valve adjustment, but we might as well go ahead and put it all back together, and we'll give it a try on camera. See how it does. You had to take this motor mount out in order to get to this intake cap. So we'll put it back in. And there's 3 bolts. Okay. We'll slip our bracket in there. In case you want to know how the bracket went on, the 2 raised areas go to the top and the one goes to the bottom. And the one that don't have the raised area goes to the bottom. And we'll put our nuts on. the nut started. Okay. And we'll get this nut on the front. Like that. This thing's adjustable a little bit, but we're going to put it back centered. I'll make sure those are good and tight. Don't want any strange engine vibrations or problems. Okay. Okay. Okay, now we'll put our fuel tank on. Like so. Well, I found a little problem with mine. One is they've got way too much gas line. If I hook this up like this is going to go down and then back up. This is gravity fed. It doesn't want to go back uphill. So you've got to have it running from the petcock downhill all the way to the carburetor. The only way I'm really going to accomplish that is if I cut off all this section of hose. And that's exactly what I'm going to do. I'm going to try to figure out how much I want, and then I'm going to chop it off. Just like that. That's how much I've got left. I'm not going to put the filter back in. If I feel like I need it later, I'll put it in. I'll take the clamp back off, put it on here. Okay, put that back in place, like so. I think I still got too much. We're going to have to take this back off because I've still got too much. And I'm going to cut off that much more. I don't want this thing having issues. I've had that happen on other motorcycles before where the bike just would not run. And the only issue was that it did not have a downward flow all the way. And once I changed that, it fixed it. So let's attach this. Put that on all the way, as far as it'll go on. All right, now that looks better. Now we'll put our pet cot in the down position. Okay, I've got the fuel line taken care of, so let's go ahead and button up the tank and put the bolts in. First, we'll make sure these things go in straight. All right. Okay, all we have left is the seat, and the seat has two mounting places. This part right here tucks underneath right here, and then this bolt goes through this hole, and then there's a nut on the bottom side of the fender, and then there's a nut and bolt that goes back here through this. The nut's on the underneath side on that one as well. So you just line it up, push it in till it falls in. And you go underneath here. Now you don't have to put this nut back on here on this one. I think you'd be fine without doing that, but my bike's still brand new, so I'm going to reinstall it. And then this is the nut and bolt that goes on this side on the back of the seat, like that. Should be good enough. Okay, valve adjustment's all finished. I'm glad I did it because neither the exhaust or the intake had any clearance at all. And I set them properly to 0.08 on intake and 0.12 on exhaust. So let's turn it on, fire it up, and see how it sounds. What do you think? Okay. Keys on, stop button's off. Sounding excellent. I like the way that idles. That sounds so good. May have to adjust the idle. It's a little high, not much. It's not warmed up yet either. It'll probably climb a little bit once it's warmed up. See how easy it starts. It's good. I'm pleased with that. All right. Well, I appreciate you guys coming along with me and getting this valve adjustment done. If you own a Ghost and you want to know how to do it, that's how you do it. So I appreciate it. Give me a thumbs up and subscribe to my channel if you haven't already. All right. Well, thanks for watching. See you on the next one.